So we're delighted to be able to welcome Walter SCHEIDEL here to Toulouse to give the third in our series of distinguished lectures in the social sciences. This year, which is the first year of the series, we've decided to launch it on the theme of origins, and we've already had two wonderful accounts of the origins of human societies in animal societies and what made us different from animal societies. And now we're very lucky to have Walter, who is a classical historian from Stanford and who can take the long view of human societies. Many of us here in this building are used to working on inequality in the 21st century, and we use modern statistics and so on. But very rarely do we have the opportunity to look at the problem with such a vast sweep of human history behind us. And so it's very exciting to have Walter here. Welcome to Toulouse, Walter. We're delighted to have you here, and we look forward very much to what you have to say.
Thank you, Paul. I'm delighted to be here too. It's my first visit to Toulouse. I'm looking forward to my talk. What I would like to do in my lecture is to look at the different origins of inequality. People have always been unequal, even back in the Stone Age. People have differed in terms of their size, their health, their strength, their looks, their intelligence, how well they got along with other people. But over time, as humanity has developed, has become richer, has produced more things, quite literally, different types of inequality have emerged. Especially as people started to accumulate wealth, land, livestock, money, shares, equities, all the things that we have today and that determine our station in life to a very large extent. And the question I would like to pursue is not just how did this kind of inequality emerge, but also what can we do, what mechanisms can we find in history that have served to reduce levels of inequality among people? Because in a very long term, if you look back over hundreds of thousands of years, inequality has tended to go up. The more wealth there is in society, the more unevenly it tends to be distributed. But once in a while, dramatic things happen to curtail this kind of process. Wars, for instance, have the effect of greatly reducing inequality because they tend to destroy the fortunes of the very rich, and wealth resources tend to become redistributed violently but quite effectively. The same is true of major epidemics that kill off a large share of the population, leaving the survivors better off than people were before. Of course, only the survivors would benefit in this way. Revolutions like the French Revolution would remix assets and resources and leave the wealthy less well off than they were before, giving more to the common people. Now, I would like to track this over time in order to address a very big question, the big question being, what can we today do or expect to do to reduce rising levels of income inequality, which is an issue very much on our minds, something you observe in the US, but also in many European states, including, in fact, France, even though on a lesser scale than elsewhere. And the question might be, well, what if people just made different choices? What if they elected different politicians, voted for different parties, who would then pass laws that would reduce inequality by taxing incomes or the transmission of wealth or inheritance, or in a number of things? Well, in this case, I think a historian like myself really has something important to offer, because we need to put that kind of debate into context. And the only way of doing this is to look back in time to see what kind of circumstances would allow such policies to be enacted. And I don't want to give away too much of my talk, but it seems to me, I will try to argue that it is only under very special circumstances, such as big wars and transformative revolutions, or big epidemics for that matter, that such policies can successfully be enacted by those in power. And that, of course, raises all kinds of difficult questions and concerns about the present and the foreseeable future.
Well, that's going to be a fascinating discussion. We look forward to hearing it very much. Thanks for coming.